Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Insights. My name is Dr. Yolanda Dukes, and my guest today is Mrs. Rachel Beasley. Rachel is a doula, and she's here to tell us what she does and how she does it. Hi, Rachel. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for
How are
having me.
you?
Good.
So you are a doula. Tell everybody what a doula is.
A doula is an emotional support person for a birthing person and family. We provide emotional support, education, and empowerment through the prenatal, birthing, and postnatal process. What does that look like? It's basically educating women on how to, take control of their bodies, the way that our bodies work. It's not necessarily supported in, hospitals. The way they do things is very clinical, and birth is more, it's a very mind, body, and spirit connection. That's my philosophy. And so I try to bring that element into the birthing room. One of the main things that I do is help my clients to prepare a birth plan. The birth plan will list her preferences as far as, it can be things like lighting, things like, not being talked to during contractions, consent to be touched every time. Some women have, gone through traumas where, they're very sensitive. A lot of women are very sensitive about these things. Yeah. And so just sort of holding the staff accountable to make the experience as natural as possible for women who want to have a spontaneous, physiological, unmedicated birth.
I gotcha. So what's the first question women ask you when they're looking for your services?
Good question. The first thing that I get asked is, am I a midwife? Do I catch babies?
Yeah. Do you?
Difference? No, I don't catch babies. That's not my, that's not my thing. My thing is emotional support. The difference between a midwife and me, the midwife is there. She is your, or your doctor. They are your, your primary care physician. They're your medical expert. Whereas I am your emotional support. I'm there for you. You don't really see your midwife or your doctor until the moment your baby is about to come out. I'm there through the entire thing. I do have clients coming to me with questions, and it's not my job really to help lead you to the information that will help you make an informed decision for yourself.
Okay. So mostly you see women when they're having their first baby?
No, actually, one of my clients is, this is her third baby. Oh. And she wants to have, she's actually an interesting case. She wants to have a doula present because her babies come so fast that both the last two babies, the doctor wasn't able to be there in time. So I might end up catching a baby, but that's a very special case. But no, honestly, I had a doula with my fourth baby, and it made such a big difference. Even though I had 3 children, that fourth one was just such an amazing experience for me. It was such a huge contrast compared to the first one, which was also unmedicated. Both of my first and last babies were unmedicated. And the difference between the first and last is tremendous. And I owe it to, A, having a doula there, but B, being very grounded and more aware of what to expect and what my body is, what is required of my body to have it go as smooth as possible.
So how does this scenario fit when your husband is there and of course you're there and the doula? How's that dynamic work?
We really try to prepare the birthing support people, because it's not only the husband, it's also, usually the mother, mother-in-law and different people like this. So I like to have those people present in my consultations, and if the mother or birthing person is comfortable in my prenatal appointments, so that we can all be on the same team as far as how to support the individual. And a lot of times the dad, he likes to be prepared also. It's a learning experience for him too. and really get him involved. There's different pain management techniques that I, guide him through. So it's really a team effort.
But what's an example of one of your pain management techniques?
So I use a lot of indigenous practices in my work. One of the things that I use is called, it's a rebozo, which is a hand woven scarf that I use to relieve pain in different ways. One of the ways is that a woman will, I can put her on her hands and knees, her belly, stand over her, and sort of just sit lightly. And that gentle motion is just going to help that baby to ease down into the birth canal faster. There's also taking the scarf and wrapping it around her hips and applying pressure to her hips. And so that helps to relieve, especially back labor. It's very good for. There's also different positions that you can get into, for instance, putting your foot up on, a table and sort of rocking and rotating your hips. So there's and really just breathing. The breath is the most important thing. And, sometimes a birthing mom doesn't want to be told, hey, breathe. So one of the things I do is I mirror. I get, sit in front of her and I take my breath, and seeing me do that, she does it naturally. So different things like that.
So after the hospital setting and the baby's born, do you still have a role with the family?
I do. I myself do 2 postnatal appointments. And my job there is to mother the mother. When the baby comes, everybody is so interested in the baby, and you kind of get overlooked as the mom. Yeah. And so my job is to focus on the mom. What does she need to be able, my job is to hold space for her so she can hold space for this baby and nurture this baby. She even forgets about herself. We as moms do that. So changing her bedding or preparing meals to, I do energy work. I do, what's called a cerrada ceremony, where I take my same scarf and I close the 13 doors, which is, it's so I do a closing ceremony using herbs and a scarf. It's optional. It's for people who, obviously that's in line with their beliefs. But, it can be as simple as, holding the baby, taking care of the baby so the mom can get a good shower. Oh, yeah. Massage. I do massage. I do cupping therapy in those postnatal appointments. Cupping is very good, especially, at that time, and very relaxing. Also yoni steaming. Yoni steaming. Yeah. So
you bring your own equipment. Tell everybody what that is. I know what it is, and I think it's really cool. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's really cool.
Yeah. So yoni steaming I have a chair, I have a stool that has a hole in it, and I make my own blend of herbs, which I boil and place underneath the stool, cover the mom in, a sheet so that the steam hits her vagina, and it's very healing, especially in postpartum, but really for any woman. I mean, it's good for womb health. It's good for regulating your cycle. It's good for libido. I mean, it's multiple benefits, but in the postpartum period, it's definitely helpful, with that healing it's necessary post-birth.
And how long should you sit on the stool?
20 minutes, we sit her down.
Wonderful. And you use a blend of herbs, you said? Is it like something you grow, or is there like an already pre-made package, or how does that work?
I went to the co-op and purchased these herbs. I hand selected each one that I want to use in my blend, but I am growing a couple of them that I just picked up 2 weeks ago and planted out front. So hopefully eventually I'll be also growing my own, I'll have the entire blend. I have 3 of the 5 so far of my blend that I use.
So what do you discuss in the early times, the baby's feeding options? Do you help with nursing, breastfeeding education?
Yes, all of it. All of it was included in my training. And I'm definitely a breastfeeding advocate, but of course it's each mother's own decision. But support through feeding, definitely that's included. I mean, everything that you can think of. Of course, you know, I don't have all the answers, and when something is beyond my expertise, I, you know, refer to the doctor or even my team. I have a team of doulas and a network of doulas that I work with that I can, you know, turn to for help.
So how does a woman become a doula? Are there men doulas as well?
I haven't heard of what I would imagine that a man could become a, you know, typically women, I feel like we are, you know, very intuitive in this way, but it's not to knock any man who wants to become a doula. There is currently no standard state mandated certification to become a doula. The main company who is, you know, who started, you know, coming out with this doula thing is Doula. How Doula started is that they went down and it was a group of women who went to Guatemala and saw what they were doing there and brought it back here and started this organization called Doula and basically started selling indigenous ways back to us. I didn't get trained through Doula. I got trained through my mentor, who is Partera Midwifery out of Oakland. They hold full spectrum doula classes, and that's how I became a doula back in March.
Wow. So how long was your training?
It was a 2-week course. It was very intensive. Our days were 10 hours plus.
Okay. So this is a
very intensive
hands-on in classroom sort of thing?
It was a week of prereqs, and then the rest was in class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And do you love it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, I'm not one of these people who always knew she wanted to be, you know, a doula. I mean, I didn't even know that they existed prior to my fourth son, my fourth baby being born. But it was interesting. I had 4 different people tell me in a 2-week span that I either should be a doula or ask me if I was a doula.
Ah,
and
I
so
love how the universe just kind of brings things to you, doesn't it?
Exactly. And shortly after, I saw, you know, the post for, you know, doula training, you know, so I said, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I answered the call.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what else? What else can you tell us about this?
I think it's stuck.
It's gone now. It's moving, yeah.
Okay.
We got low bandwidth today.
No worries.
So at some point, will you be training other doulas? Does it work that way?
I mean, it could. I guess if you are the type of person who likes to conduct training, my trainer, you know, she said that it, you know, sort of the same thing. It was a calling for her. You know, she had so many people, excuse me, my baby. Mommy's now, okay? She had so many people asking her, you know, oh, can you train? And she kind of put feelers out, you know, would anybody like, you know, if I did a class like this, would anybody? And she had so many people, you know, flooding her inbox with yes. So she designed the curriculum and I was her 11th class. So I feel like maybe, you know, years down the line, I guess if it was in demand, I guess I would do it. But for now, I'm still in the learning process. I feel like I'm very new to this. So it's not really in my mind at this point.
Oh, I could totally see you doing that. I think you'd be very successful at that. So if somebody wants to reach you for services, and actually, how much are services? Is there a roundabout range a woman is looking for?
Yeah, doula, excuse me, I just want to close this door. So doula services range from 800 to, I believe, 3,000 is what I saw online. So 800 to 3,000 with, I believe, like 1,500 being in the mid, you know, average. You know, I'm still new to this, so of course I'm starting on the lower end of the spectrum. But it, you know, it is a lot of energy that you put in. I mean, I'm in contact with my clients, you know, several times a week. I mean, I just had a client who was, you know, she was spotting, and, you know, we spent the entire day at the hospital. So what's good about doula work is that, you know, our price, you know, our pricing is that it never goes up. It's just one flat rate, and that's included for the entire duration of the pregnancy and the postpartum. At least that's how I charge. I know some doulas do it hourly, but as far as, you know, what I hear from most people, it's a flat rate.
I think a flat rate is better because you don't know in advance, what you're going to need. And since every pregnancy is so incredibly different.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is.
You hear about 16-hour labors, 24-hour labors, 36-hour labors. I mean, you have no idea.
And you're there the whole time?
Yes. The whole
Wow.
time. Yep. Pack my bag and pack my clothes and all my necessities, just like her hospital bag. It's got my stuff in there too,
Yeah.
I've got to be there. And I'm not there, until obviously the entire hospital stay. I stay up to 2 hours after the birth.
Okay. Give them a little bit of bonding time together.
Yeah. And well, just to make sure what's called the golden hour is honored, so that the baby is left on, skin to skin and not taken away for that first, at least an hour after the placenta is born.
Yeah, that's very, very important, that bonding time. I think hospitals are changing a little bit. They were a lot more sterile. They were very unfeeling as far as that's concerned, but I do see changes happening within the medical field, and they are looking at a whole person in a very holistic way to make sure both baby and mother get exactly what they need. And your services afterwards, after the baby's born, just from speaking from my experience, it is very easy to forget about yourself because your body is doing all sorts of incredible things. You just had this little person come out of you. Your tummy needs to heal. Your girly parts need to heal. Your breasts are swollen, and you've got these crazy emotional hormones that are going insane. How do you help women in the postpartum part of that?
I think just being there for them to let them know that everything is normal that they're feeling. A lot of times we feel so isolated, and we feel, that, I have this brand new baby and I should be, over the moon, and I am in love with this baby and so happy, but there's all these emotions in me that cause me to feel conflicted, and maybe even a certain sense of shame because, it's postpartum, it's baby blues, what we call it. And so just kind of getting her to accept that these feelings are normal and valid, and to care for herself, to practice self-care, reminding her to practice self-care, and actually, guiding her through that so that she doesn't forget about herself.
Definitely. Well, that's beautiful. So do you have any words for any young woman out there who may be thinking about becoming a doula?
Definitely. Please, we need doulas. It's such an important thing. I know you talked about how, the hospitals, we've come a long way. We definitely have, from, drugging women and strapping them down in the early 1900s, and they wake up and there their baby is, and they have bruises all over their body, to, the 80s and pulling babies out with vacuums and tongs or forceps. We have come a long way, but there's still a long way to go, and there's still a long way to go as far as honoring a woman's body, and really, really connecting to that. I think a lot of practitioners and nurses have a lot to learn. So, I feel like anybody that wants to become a doula, if you're called to it, then what my trainer says is then you already are a doula. Just, do it. Find someone to, find an organization that's going to teach you and go for it.
Have you ever been present for a home birth?
For a home birth? No, I haven't, but I'm so excited to. There's a lot of people who are really afraid of home births, but in actuality, home births have better outcomes than hospital births as far as, infant mortality and, complications in general. Home births tend to go smoother because, the hormone, the what we call the love hormone, which is oxytocin, is that's what's necessary to make your birth go as smooth as possible, to make your body just push that baby out without actually holding on to the baby. Mm-hmm. So when you think of your home setting, that is the place where you're most comfortable. That is the place where you feel, you're most safe and most supported. And so those births actually tend to have better outcomes. So I'm very excited about attending a home birth. It's just, finding a couple who's comfortable enough with going that route. Definitely. Hopefully in the future, more people will, start going towards that. I mean, traditionally, that's what we've always done. Birth has always been at home up until, like I said, the 1900s. You know, doctors put out a whole smear campaign on, you know, home births, saying, you know, is this how you want your birth to be? It's very dirty, and this is for poor people, state-of-the-art technology. When in reality, those doctors had never even attended a birth in their life. And so, you know, there was a lot of deaths and a lot of, you know, horrible things that were happening to women. So, you know, of course it's better now, but it's not as good as it can be. We still have, you know, a 35% C-section rate in this country, which we're being, I believe, audited by the UN because it shouldn't be that high.
Yeah,
and of course it comes down to
surgery, right?
Money. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's definitely an uptick in natural and holistic care, and even some medical doctors are moving toward that. And again, that's why I do this, to let people know that there are indeed alternatives out there. It doesn't have to be just one way.
Yes, so important. So important. And it's such an empowering feeling to know that your body, you know, like I said, the contrast between my fourth and my first, it was a transformative experience. It really changed me to feel that empowered and in charge of my own body, and to know what it was capable of on its own. You know, it's transformative, and I think I wish it for every woman.
Wow. Well, that is absolutely beautiful. And I want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy day and taking time away from your little man and your little girl to come and educate us all today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Definitely. Truly a pleasure for me. Bye, everybody.
Bye.